respected chairpersons, and learned audience. Today my topic is nutritional deficiencies in diabetes and role of intake of egg. So this is my disclaimer. So I'll discuss the whole topic under the three broad headings: normal nutritional strategy in diabetics, nutritional deficiency in diabetes, and role of egg in diabetic diet. So as you all know, nutrition therapy forms an integral part of diabetes management. There is no doubt about that. And what are the goals? To promote and support healthy eating patterns, emphasizing a variety of nutrient-dense foods in appropriate portions or sizes, to improve overall health and to improve and to achieve and maintain the body weight goals, attain individualized glycemic, blood pressure and lipid goals, delay or prevent the complications of diabetes. So healthy diabetic diet contains the followings, as you all know, all are aware of these things: complex carbohydrates, fats, PUFA and MUFA, proteins, preferably plant proteins, fiber, vitamins, micronutrients, antioxidants and water. So these are the energy requirements for a normal BMI person having the light activity. The kilocalorie requirement is 30. So these are some charts giving showing the female and male difference. And this is an example: 37-year-old female, 60 kg body weight, normal light activity, energy requirement will be 16 to 30, 1800 calorie. If the lady is overweight, the energy requirement will be 25, so it will be 1500. This is just an example. This energy comes from carbohydrates, 4 kilocalorie per gram, proteins 4 kilocalorie per gram, and fats 9 kilocalorie per gram. So these are the components of diabetic diet. As I have already mentioned, the energy comes from the carbohydrate, approximately 55%, protein it is 15%, fat, especially monounsaturated and omega-3 fatty acids are the best types. So saturated fat is limited to 10%, but if the LDL level is high, so saturated fat is cut down up to 7%. And minimize trans fatty acids. So these are some nutritional strategies. In type 1, food distribution should synchronize with insulin therapy. Most people will need 3 main meals, 3 snacks to avoid hypoglycemia. And for overweight type 2 diabetes, calorie restriction 1200 to 1500 calorie, 3 main meals, snacks are usually not required. So now coming to the glycemic index, this is also very important. It is a numerical system that measures how fast a particular food raises the blood glucose. And glucose is given a value of 100. Other carbohydrates are given a number relative to the glucose. And lower GI foods below 55, intermediate GI food is 55 to 70, high GI food is more than 70. So now coming to the factors which influence the GI of a food, the degree of processing or cooking. The more processed or refined is the food, the higher the GI. The more the fiber content of the food, the lower the GI. And degree of ripeness, the riper is the food, the higher the GI. So, and other factors which influence the GI of a food: type of sugar. Pure glucose GI is 100, pure fructose it is 23, sucrose it is 65, and honey it is 58. Combination of foods and mixed meals, adding protein-rich food in a meal lower the overall GI of the meal. Acidic foods in a meal help to slow down digestion of starches generally and have lower GI. And anti-nutrients, like some food contain substances that inhibits digestion of starch. Soybean or yams causes lower GI. So coming to dietary fiber, the American Dietetic Association recommendation is 25 to 30 grams of dietary fibers per day, and ratio of insoluble to soluble fiber is 3:1. And 10 to 25 grams of fiber each day can help to lower LDL cholesterol by about 5%. So The regular intake of sufficient dietary fiber is associated with lower all-cause mortality in people with diabetes. And people with diabetes should consume at least 14 gram of fiber per 1000 calorie. And this is the ADA recommendation about medical nutrition. Carbohydrate intake from vegetable, fruits, legumes, whole grains and dairy products with an emphasis on foods higher in fiber and lower in glycemic load, as I have already mentioned, is preferred over other sources, especially those containing added sugars. Eating foods rich in long-chain omega-3 fatty acids such as fatty fish containing EPA, DHA content and nuts and seeds is recommended to prevent or treat cardiovascular disease. Ingested proteins appear to increase insulin response without increasing plasma glucose concentration. Now, effects of isolated soluble fiber supplementation. It reduces BMI by 0.84, body weight by 2.52 kg, fasting glucose by 0.17 millimole, fasting insulin by 15.88 picomole, and so isolated soluble fiber supplementation improves the anthropometric and metabolic outcomes in overweight obese adults. Now coming to the medical nutrition therapy in type 2 diabetes, I have given the recommendations of RSSDI, ADA and ICMR as in a tabulated form. So regarding carbohydrate, all the recommendations are mostly same. In ADA, they say high fiber and low glycemic index diet are essential. So preferred sources are fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, dairy products, etc. Now, this is the currently available recommendation for for the management. For proteins, intake is 10 to 15% daily calories, and ADA says that patients with compromised renal function, the protein allowance is 0.8 gram per kg per day. Now, overall, the results indicate that replacing sources of animal with plant protein leads to modest improvement in glycemic control in individuals with diabetes. So, animal protein should be replaced with plant proteins. And this is another study, effect of plant protein on blood lipids. Plant protein substitution for animal protein decreases LDL-C by 0.16 millimole, non-HDL lipoprotein cholesterol by 0.18 millimole, and apolipoprotein B by 0.05 per gram per liter. Now coming to fat, the total percentage is 30%. I have already mentioned MUFA is the best unsaturated fat for diabetic patients, and MUFA-FUPA ratio should be maintained, and fatty feed, nuts, seeds, etc. should be taken. Recommendations are more or less same in RSSDI, ADA and ICMR. Now coming to the main important part, nutritional deficiencies in diabetes. Nutritional deficiency in diabetes can occur due to the disease itself, due to diabetes, due to its complications. Prolonged use of anti-diabetic medications, as you all know, there are some medications like metformin, when used in a prolonged period, causes vitamin B12 deficiency. Regarding diabetic complication, diabetic with CKD may have anemia, may have low albumin content, and after bariatric surgery, this is very, very important. So, many medications I have already mentioned. Nutrient deficiencies can be mistaken for symptoms of disease, and drug-induced nutrient deficiencies can be addressed with dietary modification and the use of safe quality supplements. So the following vitamins are also deficiency diseases occur: vitamin B12, vitamin D and vitamin E. Even though vitamin exert important effect on the risk of diabetes as well as its progression and complication, there is not enough evidence in most cases to suggest individual or multivitamin supplementation in general diabetic population. The best recommendation should be to consume adequate quantities of foods that contains vitamin in sufficient amounts in order to guarantee an appropriate nutritional status. In this sense, it is necessary to undertake proper dietary evaluation. However, there is enough evidence to recommend vitamin B12 supplementation in diabetic patients who are on who are taking metformin for a prolonged period to reduce the risk of development of neuropathy. Vitamin D and diabetes, low levels of vitamin D3 increases the risk of diabetes. There is significant inverse association between vitamin D3 levels and risk of type 2 diabetes. And it decreases, vitamin D3 supplementation decreases insulin resistance and improves insulin sensitivity. Now coming to micronutrient deficiency in diabetes, National Diet and Nutrition Survey NDNS in UK has revealed widespread micronutrient deficiency in diabetic population, more pronounced in older individuals. Large number of diabetic patients have failed to achieve mean intake of micronutrients above the reference nutrient intake or RNI. These deficiencies include zinc deficiency 60%, calcium, selenium in 26%, folic acid 51% in women and 25% in men, vitamin D3 I have already mentioned, frank deficiency in more than 35% of older people. These micronutrients are important for proper immune function and also slows down cognitive decline and risk of heart disease and infection in diabetic patients. Though in spite of knowing all this, till date, we do not have enough data for micronutrient intervention studies for diabetic control. Now, omega-3 fatty acids, I have already mentioned, epidemiological studies have shown to lower insulin resistance with omega-3, and N3-PUFA reduces the risk of a number of inflammatory chronic diseases. Their intake should be increased, and that of N6-PUFA saturated and trans fatty acids should be decreased. Coming to alpha lipoic acid deficiency, ALA prevents beta cell destruction, enhances glucose uptake, and its antioxidant effects may be particularly useful in slowing the development of diabetic complications such as diabetic neuropathy.
So please
Now,
wind up.
Nutritional deficiency, just 2 minutes. Bariatric surgery nowadays are accepted mode of treatment for ever increasing morbid obesity without diabetes, with or without diabetes. After bariatric surgery, deficiencies like iron, vitamin B12, B1, B6, folate, and fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, K, and trace elements like selenium, zinc, and copper may occur. And the prevalence of iron deficiency varies from 18 to 53% after Roux-en-Y gastric bypass and between 10 to 54% with sleep gastrectomy. So effective iron therapy should be undertaken in these cases. Now, coming to the last part of my talk, this is egg, whether good or bad in diabetes. First is nutritional value of egg. An average egg weighs about 55 grams, contains about 75 kilocalories of energy and 200 milligram cholesterol. In addition to water, 74%, the main chemical composition of egg is 11.8% lipids and 12.8% proteins. There are 6 proteins found in the egg white. They are ovalbumin, conalbumin, ovomucoid, ovomucin, lysozyme, and avidin. These are the 6 proteins. And in addition, all the fat-soluble vitamins are present in egg yolk. Most of the proteins are present in the egg white, amounting to 50%, and egg yolk 44%, and eggshell contains the rest of the proteins. The effect of high egg diet on cardiovascular risk factors, Diabex study shows that here 140 participants have been randomly assigned with one of the 2 diets, 2 eggs per day for 6 days a week or less than 2 eggs per week. What is the result? There is no significant difference in the change of HDL-C. So high egg diet can be included safely as part of the dietary management of type 2 diabetes, and it may provide greater satiety. Now, egg consumption and risk of type 2 diabetes in men and women. This is a huge study. 20,000 men from physician health study and 36,000 women from women health study have been taken from general population. These data suggest that high level of egg consumption daily are associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes in men and women. But confirmation of these findings are other population is also warranted. Now, egg consumption.
Please wind up.
Egg consumption may be associated with an increased incidence of type 2 diabetes among general population and CVD. So Canadian study shows no adverse effect on major CVD risk factors in individuals at risk for developing diabetes or with type 2 diabetes. Now this is my last slide, take home message. Nutrition therapy forms an integral part of diabetes management. A properly balanced nutritious diet with proper concentration of carbohydrate, protein and fat, higher in fiber, lower in glycemic load should be the choice. Proper body weight should be maintained for all diabetics. Role of lifestyle measure cannot be overemphasized. Potential micronutrient deficiencies should be given proper attention. Associated vitamin deficiencies should be adequately corrected. After bariatric surgery, deficiency states should be corrected without delay. And regarding egg consumption, 1 egg per day for 6 days a week does not cause any adverse effect. Short-term daily inclusion of egg in the habitual diet of adults with type 2 diabetes has led to improved anthropometric measurements and had no effect on glycemic control and blood pressure and CV risk factor.
So thank you, Dr. Nando.